bulls and bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. Famous saying, and to be honest, I mean, it does feel good, right? It does feel good to, well, not try to time the market, not sell because we've seen panic headlines, right? The Black Monday that never happened. Okay, maybe the market didn't bottom yesterday, maybe it didn't even bottom today. But the reaction of the market right now, I mean, I would be very surprised if we go lower another 20% or so. Now, tomorrow or the day after that, we can have another red day. Of course, that's not out of the question. Actually, we do have some data about that as well. In the last couple of days, we have been looking more and more at data points of, well, previous times where the markets were down consecutive days more than 4%, where the VIX was over 45. We've looked at what has happened. The odds were in our favor, of course, but as you've seen, just because 80% of the time or 90% of the time the markets were green the next day or 2 days later or a week later, didn't mean that that's going to happen this time. No, there was always that 20% chance, 10% chance that we are actually going to be, well, in that semi-unique situation where we are going to continue to see red days. And even when we had that data point that shows us that 100% of the time something has happened, although that was more in the longer term, so 6 months, 9 months, a year or so, well, 100% of the time before, today we can break that statistic, right? We can break that 100% track record. So today feels extremely good, especially to those that did buy the crash, did get greedy when others became fearful, did not try to time the bottom, did not say, oh, I'm trying to catch falling knives. No, we saw great companies trading at very, very attractive prices, and we took the opportunity. We used our money, we used our knowledge, our strategy, and we made our moves. Of course, right now it does seem like this was the good move, but maybe a week from now, 2 weeks from now, or 90 days from now might turn out to be not so great move. But we'll see, we'll adapt. That's what investors do. We adapt to situations. So let's talk a little bit about what has happened today. Let's look at a couple of data points as well. If you enjoy this type of videos, hit all the buttons. We really appreciate that. I appreciate all the support, especially during times like this. I think during times like this, it is extremely important to stay calm, to provide useful information, not to throw out some, well, ludicrous claims out there. Because remember, I might show you a lot of data. I might talk a lot about stocks, about macro, etc., but I don't have a crystal ball, okay? I don't have a crystal ball, but as I've said before, the big difference today to 2022, right, the bear market, or the other great financial crisis, etc., the other periods that people wanted to compare what we're having right now. Well, right now, and this was proven today, one change in the headline and it's over, or it's over for the meantime. That's the big difference. That's the big difference. We didn't have soaring inflation. We didn't have interest rates that basically went from close to 0 to 4 or 5% in record time. No, we have the exact opposite. We have inflation that's actually coming down or slowing down. We have interest rates that are coming down and expected to come down even more. More on that actually a little bit later. It's quite interesting what has happened in the last 24 hours. So that has always been my point here. That's the big difference. I also want to show you one tweet from a couple of days ago. I need to pat myself on the back from time to time. So yeah, that will happen in this video. Anyways, hit all the buttons. Would really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment with the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. All right, so let's look at the heat map. I mean, have you seen something like this? This is absolutely incredible. Incredible. And Nvidia up 18.72%, Apple up 15.33%. I believe AMD is up 23% or so today. Incredible, incredible. I mean, you have small players here that are red today, but all the rest, the majority is deep, deep green. Incredible. Honestly, the last couple of days, I don't think I've seen anything like this before. So yeah, enjoy. That's all I have got to say here. Moving on to interest rate cuts, probabilities more specifically. So if we look at the May meeting, well, right now, as you can see, the probability of a cut went down to 17%. Now you might say, okay, big deal. Well, yeah, big deal, because a day ago that was 44.5% for the May meeting. So quite a drastic change. The June meeting, a bit of the same, although for the June meeting, we're still here at 60.7% probability that we're going to have a rate cut for the June meeting. A day ago, that was 50%. So, okay, June meeting, I think it was quite clear that we're going to get a cut there. If we go to the July one, here we might, well, now we have here 45.5% that's expected for another cut, basically. So we're going down another 25 basis points or so, which is up from a week ago, but down a little bit from a day ago. But the big change here is, of course, for that May meeting. I mean, going from 44.5% to now 17%. And even a week ago we were at 10% chance. So quite a drastic change. All right, so for those that actually don't know what has happened today, they just seen their portfolio go up by 15, 20% or so. Well, this was basically it. Donald Trump here tweeted out, or truthed out, I don't know what they say there. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States of America to 125%, effective immediately. Well, it was already super high at 104%, now it's 105%. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the United States and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subject being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs, and that these countries have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States, I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lower reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. So basically what we have now is, well, China being in the corner, getting hit even harder. All the rest of the countries are invited to negotiate even further. Tariffs are lowered as well, so less stress on those countries and even less incentive for those countries to actually maybe approach China or something like that. No, they're going to stay on one side, where China right now is left alone in a corner in a pretty bad situation. Now, 2 days ago, I tweeted out that, and actually I said that in the past video as well, too many countries are coming to the table to talk tariffs, not enough time. The deadline will not be April 9th, my prediction not a fact. Now, of course, today was the deadline, but it didn't really last that long, so I guess this was a semi-correct, more than a semi-correct prediction, I would say. So, congratulations, Couch Investor. Anyways, moving on to some data points, then we'll revisit the ones that we've talked a little bit about in the past videos. So if we look at the S&P 500 when it closed at the 200-day lows, then over 97% of stocks went up the next day. This is what happened a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later, and a year later. So the more we move into the future, the better our odds. A week later, 2 weeks later, not great, I would say. A week later, still okay. 67% of the time we were positive. 2 weeks later, 44% of the time we were red. So the odds here are now 2 weeks later not in our favor. If we actually look at the next day, so tomorrow, well, the odds are still in our favor, but not that great. 56% of the time, the next day, the market was green, which means 44%, well, was a red day. Of course, we are now in a very, very unique situation, right? Because if we have that 90-day delay, then all the hit that the market was taken because of, well, the negative effect, the trickle-down effect of tariffs, of high tariffs on specific industries, on specific companies, well, now that's not going to happen. So the market should be regaining a lot of those losses, right? Because some people kept on saying, oh, we can go lower, it's not priced in, we can go lower. Well, again, remember, the market was already down 15 to 20% in record time. Plenty of companies were down 30, 40% in record time as well, because the markets are forward looking, right? So you cannot tell me, you cannot convince me time and time again that, oh, it's not baked in. yes, I do think that a lot of bad news is baked in when a market goes down extremely quickly, down 15, 20%. So yeah, right now, it wouldn't surprise me if we are still in that 56% where the next day we're actually going to be green. Wouldn't surprise me. Now again, we're not out of the woods yet, right? There still is 10% tariffs, and I believe on auto and steel for Mexico and Canada, I believe that still also is the case that they are hit with tariffs. But there are discussions ongoing, right? The discussions with Japan, with South Korea, with Vietnam and all of that, that didn't stop. Everything is continuing, but it just gives all of these countries now and the United States more time to discuss, more time to make sure that they have tailored deals for each and every country. And of course, it gives now, well, China less time actually, because more pressure, less time for China, less pressure, more time for the other countries. And so this is basically the picture for the next days based on the previous data that we have. And if you look at the average, when we go down, it's not that we're going down that much, right? 1.32%. And if we go up, same story there. We don't really go up that much on average. But again, our situation is very, very different, because if we go back to the other statistics, if we go and look at this one, for example, from a couple of days ago, when the S&P 500 was down 4% for 2 straight days, then it was down again the next day. So this was on Monday. Well, one day later, which would mean Tuesday, 100% of the times the markets were green. Now remember what happened on Tuesday. We were green and finished red. But here on average, how much up did we go? 4.6%. Today we went much, much higher than that, right? And actually, if we look 2 days later, we're actually not that far away from that data point. So here again, 100% of the times we went green. 3 days later, which probably means tomorrow, 100% of the time we went green as well. And look at the average there, also quite nice back-to-back days where we're going to be up over 7%. So when I kept saying that the odds are in our favor, I wasn't making up things. No, I was looking at previous data here and just saying, okay, 80% of the time, in this case, 70%, the odds are in your favor. I kept saying the same thing again and again. If these are the odds that you get in a casino, we will all be in the casino each and every day of the week, because these are amazing odds. Of course, there's always, when you look at 80%, there's always that other side, the 20%, where you have 20% of the time things were not green, which is exactly what we've had. But it does seem like right now things are changing. And so while it is amazing to see all of this green, while it is amazing to actually see your portfolio go up a significant amount, especially if you've been buying the dip, especially if you are in tech stocks, in semiconductor stocks, it's amazing. But don't forget that, well, the tariff story is not over just yet. It has been paused, negotiations are still ongoing, but at least the big hit, let's say the big policy mistake hit, let's call it, is now off the table, at least for the next 90 days, which 90 days is quite a long time, right? That's basically another quarter, which also means that when we are going to go into the next earnings season, which is already starting right now, on Friday we have big banks already reporting. Then next week we have already big companies reporting. I believe ASML, TSMC, Netflix are reporting already next week. The week after that we've got probably already Tesla, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. So now that we've got that out of the way, I think we might get actually a clearer message. Earlier today, we had Delta talk a little bit about guidance. And of course, this morning, well, the guidance looked very bleak, but I believe Delta is up also 19% or so at the time of making this video. So going into the next earnings season, now we're probably going to get, well, more positive guidance. It will still be a lot of unknown for sure. I'm not saying that, oh, they're all going to give us great guidance. No, Q1 is probably going to be a good quarter. I think we're going to get plenty of good reports, plus those that did get hit by FX headwinds in the previous quarter. The dollar weakening is probably going to help them in the meantime, which could also help them with guidance as well. And so, yeah, my expectations now going into this earnings season has changed a little bit. Now, you know, I've been buying quite aggressively in the last couple of days and last week as well. Ran out of cash right now, so I'm pretty happy. Will I be buying more? Well, I'll have to wait until I get more cash in the portfolio. So far, I am, happy with this strategy. And so all in all, that's about it. Finally, a day where we can say, we did the right thing. We did the right thing. I'm actually flying tomorrow to Greece for a little vacation. So good timing. Good timing, President Trump. I really appreciate the effort. But I did read a very, very cool tweet or quote this week. If you want to make the wrong decision, ask everyone. So next time you have a lot of questions, trust your gut, trust your strategy. I'm just here to talk, share my opinion, show some data points. At the end of the day, it's your portfolio, it's your decisions. I've seen plenty of good comments in the last couple of hours, so congratulations to all of you that had the stomach to, well, actually buy when others were very fearful. So all in all, that's about it. See you all in the next video. I don't know if Thursday is going to be the day, maybe Friday or maybe during the weekend. If not, well, enjoy and have a very good early weekend as well. See you all in the next one. Bye-bye.